Hi, everyone. Happy Magnificent Monday. We are just getting started. Going to click everyone in here. Hopefully you guys had a wonderful weekend and are having a great Monday so far, wherever you are in the world. Happy to have you guys join us. We've got our attendees chiming in. Hi, Tammy. Anyone else that wants to join us on video, go ahead and raise your hand. Let us know that you are wanting to be on video. We would love to have you if you are okay turning your video camera on. That's the only thing, is if you raise your hand, I'm going to put you on video. So you have to be on video to join us. Hi, Mel.
Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Hey.
It's Monday. I know it's a crazy Monday in the world of education.
Yes.
But crazy can be good sometimes, right? And sometimes we have to embrace the crazy. And so today is all about authentic you, or authentic me, or whatever way we talk about it, right? But it is all about being authentic in the face of chaos, right? We've got so much uncertainty and so much crazy. We're just going to call it that, right? Everyone has a different lens on what's going on in the world. Everyone has a different viewpoint on what they're experiencing during this time. There's educators from around the world that are back full-time or getting ready to go back full-time. So much. And then we've got others that are getting ready to go full digital distance learning. And we've got others that are a hybrid. There's so much that we've got a little bit of certainty, but so much uncertainty, which creates stress and chaos. And we were talking about that last week. And we wanted to kind of extend the conversation this week to really talk about that most authentic version of you. So if you can go ahead and type in the chat when you are, and we're gonna go back to gratitude with this one. What are you most grateful for about the most authentic version of yourself? I love that. So type in the chat on Facebook or in the chat here on the webinar, wherever you're watching. Let us know what you are most grateful for about the most authentic version of you. I'm pointing to me like I'm thinking it. You know what I mean? What are you most grateful for about the most authentic version of you? This is a time to kind of pat yourself on the back and look in the mirror. This is self-love. This is self-care. This is all the things that we talk about. Is who are you naturally at your core, and what do you love about yourself? What are you most grateful for about you? So go ahead and type that in the chat. Melissa, I'm sure that you are moderating Facebook for me. Thank you, my dear. And if you guys are typing in the chat on the webinar version, just make sure you send to all panelists and attendees so that everyone can see. And if you're just coming in and joining us on the Zoom webinar, go ahead and raise your hand if you want to come on video today. So Tammy, I love it. My full faith to trust that all is working out for my highest good. I love that about you too, so much. Because no matter what adversity, and Tammy and I have been having a few conversations brainstorming about all kinds of fun, creative ways that we can change the world together. And just that unwavering trust in the process, right?
You know what I want to say too, is I was part of a deep chat circle group, deep conversations. And when I had shared about my full faith and had somebody say, wow, you know, because I really don't fear, right? In the worst of times, I have so much faith. And I remember somebody saying, God, if I could have a morsel, right, of your faith. And they were so envious of that, wishing for that. And I never realized how grateful I was for my faith until you had somebody mirror that back to me. And then it really got me to feel in full gratitude and go, you know, you're right. Because I just take it for granted sometimes that I trust that everything will always work out. And I always have that optimistic head in the clouds kind of full faith that it's always working out no matter what it is. And to hear somebody say, gosh, I just wish I had a little bit of that, I realized how much it makes my life easier and gentler that I do have that faith. So I am. It's what I am most grateful for in this community. And when all this pandemic is happening, I don't feel it to the same level of degree as other people are. And then surrounding myself with people like you girls who believe that naturally as well. It's now I don't only just trust it in myself, I trust it in the community that I'm aligning myself to. And that's huge.
That's
So
huge. I love that. And, you know, it reminds me, I had an interaction this morning with a banker at the bank. And he, you know, we were chatting about what I do for work and all of that. And he goes, can I ask you something? I said, sure. He goes, how do you do it? And I go, what do you mean? He goes, how do you like stay so positive and you know, it appears as if you've been through so much. And I had shared maybe like 2 sentences of my life, nothing, you know, I wasn't like verbal diarrhea on this banker about my life and my woes. But he was like, you know, you've obviously been through a lot and overcome a lot. Like how do you stay positive? How do you stay like resilient and growing? And I said, it's easy. I'm more connected to my future than I am my past. And I am savoring my present because I love where I'm at right now. Like I'm growing and I'm evolving and I'm super excited about my future vision and you know, the community that we're building and all of those pieces. And I have amazing lessons from my past that I bring forward, but I don't bring any of the other stuff from the past. I just bring the lessons forward, you know, and am I perfect at it? No. But the fact that a banker from across one of those plastic things, plexiglass screens, you know, in a 5-minute conversation picked up on that energy, like I'm super grateful for that. And I love Rumen that you're talking about in the chat saying, I'm grateful for the people who give optimism to us despite all the misery and pessimism in the world. And there is so much, Rumen, and that's really when we're showing up as the most authentic version of ourselves and we choose what we listen to, we choose what comes into our brain. And Amy Jo Martin is a dear friend of mine and a thought leader in the world. She wrote a book called Renegades Write the Rules. She's a super awesome human. And she talks about a family member of hers saying, don't let anyone else rent space up here. This is valuable real estate. And when you think about who gets to rent space in your brain, you get to choose who that is. And, you know, Ward's saying, I'm grateful that I'm patient. And it's so true. When you get into that place of allowing and surrendering to the flow and really finding that space, you get really picky about who you let into your space and who you let rent space in your brain, whether it's news channels, whether it's Facebook feeds, Instagram feeds, Twitter feeds, places you work, colleagues you're interacting with, friends you're connecting with. Even if you're, you know, working at a place where things are frustrating, you should still be surrounding yourself with people that are like-minded, that you can lock arms with. And that's really the beauty of watching this community grow in the authentic way that it is. And, you know, my dream is that we grow this community to 1 million global impact educators. You know, that's really my dream, is that we have a community of 1 million educators that are focused on global impact. And it's not, because as an educator, it's never just been about you. It's been about serving your kiddos. And if we come together and show up as the most authentic version of ourselves and we get celebrated for that, life's cool, right? Mel, will you chat about, specifically, I want to talk about the communities that you've been able to be the most authentic version of yourself in. And recently you've had a couple different examples of when it just didn't feel like you resonated because it wasn't aligned with the most authentic version of you, and you switched communities, entrepreneur communities, and just finding that alignment with the most authentic version of you and really honoring that. Will you speak to that a little bit?
I think I know which part you're talking about. Are you talking about the nonprofit arena?
No, I'm talking about the communities that you connect in with. You had joined Fit for Service.
Oh, okay.
Great community, but just wasn't aligned when it came down to it.
Yeah, so, you know, this topic is first and foremost, life is about an excavation of really understanding who you are, and the experiences that you have will lead you up to what I like to call your identity of yourself. And as you evolve and grow, parts of that old identity will no longer resonate with you. I call it the slow death of the ego. And as you evolve and grow in different parts of yourself to be a higher version of yourself, as Sandy's mentioned, I at one point was in a fellowship and it was 100 people, and the foundation was around health and wellness. And it was a great fellowship. But what I had found in the first trimester was I felt that everything that they had been discussing and talking about, I felt like that was me 5 years ago. I felt like I've already kind of been there. So I really didn't feel like I was getting a lot of value in that community for where I was at the time in my life, right? So I made the decision to leave that fellowship because I felt that it wasn't resonating with me. I in turn went into another community that were a circle of entrepreneurs. It was about a $5,000 investment for me to be a part of this up-leveling in this other fellowship. And within the first 4 weeks of my investment, I got more value in 4 weeks and more learning of where I was at in my journey than I did in 90 days with this other fellowship. But I had to sit back and go, does this resonate with me? Is this where I'm at in my time of my life? And is this the environment that's going to help me to design the life that I want right now? And the answer was no, immediately. So that is why I made the decision to leave. And then in the next fellowship program, I asked myself, is this the environment that is going to help me to design the next level of the life that I want to live? And the answer was immediately yes. And so I made the decision to stay in that. So as Sandy talks about, part of being your authentic you is really understanding where you are now, acknowledging where you are now, acknowledging, most importantly, that what I think that needs to be talked about today is that you got to also acknowledge the parts of yourself that you may not like. I call that, the shadow part of yourself, or the part that you don't want to talk about, or you want to stick it in the closet and go, I don't want to look at you. But when you acknowledge that part of yourself that you may not even feel comfortable with, or you want to avoid, the more that you acknowledge that part of being, that's actually part of who I am, the more you literally become authentic, because it is a part of you, period. And so for me, and I'll just be very blatant direct, for many, many, many years, I shamed a part of myself around a certain area of my life. And it was like, oh no, I don't want to talk about that part. And I don't want people to look at me for that part or judge me for that part. So I kept that part of myself tucked away for a long time, until probably at the beginning of this year, I brought her out of that closet and I was like, oh, I've missed you. Because I realized there's nothing wrong with that part of who I am. And as a matter of fact, I like that part about myself. And the moment that I started talking about it publicly through my newsletters, through my videos, through my posts, it was like, no, this is a part of who I am. And I actually like that part of myself. So being part of your authentic you is taking what you've hidden in the closet, bringing it back out and go, I like that part of me. And that's okay. And that's it.
Love it. Love it. So valuable when we think about all the different versions, right? Or masks or personalities, or we can name it a bunch of different things, right? At the end of the day, we are a whole human. And if we operate from this place of needing to compartmentalize, I'm this way with these people, I'm this way with these people, I'm this way with these people, all we're doing is fragmenting ourselves, and it's actually draining our energy. When we think, and I was listening to a mentor session with this Young Entrepreneur Academy that I'm coaching this month, and the mentor, Chiron, talked about, it's not about time management, it's about energy management. And if life is about energy management, and you are fragmenting and having to figure out who to show up as over here, or over here, or over here, it's exhausting. I call it mental gymnastics, right? And if you are trying to play mental gymnastics in different areas of your life to make sure that you are accepted or to make sure that you are loved, you're missing the most important person who matters, and that's you. What you think matters first. Like Melissa was saying, she brought that characteristic out of the closet and said, I actually like you. Why have I hidden you for so long? Right? Because people, whoever they may be, right, have shamed or blamed or guilted that portion of us. And we've all had that experience at some time in our lives. But the beauty in really finding your own authentic you, it's not that you get to a place where you don't care what anyone else thinks. You just get to a place where you care more what you think. Because it's not about dismissing or diminishing anyone else, because they may have relevant points that are good for your learning and growth. But what matters most is what you think and what you feel. And if you are aligned to that, and you are aligned to those values, and you start noticing when you are out of values alignment, when you're having that visceral reaction to something happening, you are out of values alignment. And you need to stop and get curious with yourself and go, how do I get back into alignment? What do I need right now in order to be realigned so that I can show up as my best self? Not only for myself, but for those around me, whether it's for your students or for your colleagues or your family or your friends. It's about you choosing who that most authentic version is and not allowing anyone, past, present, or future, to shame that. Because it's not okay. It's not okay for other people to lay shame and guilt at your doorstep and for you to pick it up and own it as if it's yours. Anahata was a spiritual advisor that Melissa introduced me to in Sedona. Beautiful spiritual teacher. And she said, people will lay things at your doorstep. It's up to you whether you pick them up or not. You get to choose whether you pick up what people lay at your doorstep. And unfortunately, the majority of us have been taught to dismiss the good stuff that people lay at our doorstep and pick up the stuff that hurts us. And if you pause and you think about that, and you think about being more intentional about what you pick up that's at your doorstep, how much would that shift how you're showing up on a daily basis? Because you get to choose. If someone is laying shame at your doorstep, do you really feel shameful about the choice that you're making? Probably not if you're making the choice. So that's theirs. Choose to pick up the love that someone else is giving you that's saying, no, you're amazing. You're fantastic. You're the most kind, authentic human I've ever known. That's what I'm going to choose to pick up, right? That feels better. Why would we wander around picking up things that hurt? Yeah, Tammy, I love, using the word discernment. Melissa and I have been talking about that word a lot lately as well. We get to be discerning about what we choose to have in our lives and what we choose not to. And it doesn't mean anyone else is good, bad, right, or wrong. It just means we get to show up as the most authentic version of ourselves.
And I want to piggyback on that too. It also takes a level of nonviolent communication and being able to express authentically to others about how you feel and what you need in a nonviolent way. Being authentically you does require a level of conscious communication. especially in the school culture environment. It is really vital that you step back and say, if I'm going to be authentic, what is the highest version of myself? And how can I articulate this from a place of compassion and vulnerability versus shame and blame? And that's going to require discernment within yourself to ask that about yourself, then stepping forward and having the conscious communication. It is going to require that level of discernment before you have that knee-jerk reaction and kick and react. It takes patience, it takes mindfulness, and it takes you as an individual to learn how to practice that nonviolent communication and take full responsibility for why you feel a certain way or why you need something or what's important to you. Here's a great example that I feel drawn to share. Over the weekend, I had a very scary medical incident that took place with me that scared me very bad. I woke up basically in the middle of the night blind. Like literally I could not see. And come to find out, I never had it before, but I had what's called a ocular migraine, to where it literally distorts your vision temporarily. And it woke me up and I could not see anything. I couldn't read, I couldn't see anything, and it scared the you-know-what out of me. Not to go into detail, but the next day, I had to have a conversation with an individual to share my fear and my scarcity and just needing to be held and supported because I was scared to death. But I had to have the conversation in a way of like, look, I'm human. I was afraid. Holy shit, I thought I was blind. But I had to say it in a conscious way that I was being authentic to what I needed to feel safe and secure, but also from a level of not shaming and blaming and making other people wrong. So part of being authentic is going to require you to get vulnerable as well too. And authentic with, what do I need right now? And just own it. And just share it from that safe space of non-violent communication.
I love it. Mel, it's so valuable. And thank you for sharing. And I think that goes to Rumen's point, is being proud of the authentic you, and that the world and the younger generations are waiting for us to be authentic, to show them that it's okay to be authentic. And Rumen, you're explaining that beautifully. We are drawn to those that are the most authentic. We are drawn to those that share with this level of vulnerability that's not like sharing too much to where it's super raw and someone's like laying all their stuff at your doorstep, but from that place of owning, like Melissa shared, from a place of owning her part. And that's that nonviolent communication is when you share the authentic version of you and what you need and what you feel and what you're experiencing, that's when people are drawn in. And so when we think about the colleague relationships and the teacher to student relationships that are needing to be formed and fostered in this digital distance world, that authenticity is the most critical to effectively conveying what you need to get across, whether it's a lesson, whether it's asking for help, whether it's collaborating on something, whether it's moving the needle faster, no matter what it is, that authentic you showing up so that people know what they're gonna get every time. They're not wondering who you're gonna show up as, they just get who they get. Because it's not hard. You're not having to choose and take all the extra energy. You just get to show up, right? And when you're having a rough day, you own that too. It doesn't mean you have to be perfect and be like Pollyanna every day and sunshine and rainbows. Some days are rough in life. And, you know, there's a lot of things that are shifting and moving in my world that I'll share soon. not ready to share yet, but there's a lot of movement going on in my life but I'm still showing up as the authentic version of me. And when I'm having a rough day, I'm reaching out to those closest to me and leaning on them and going, I'm a mess right now. I need help. And then other times I'm like, yeah, you know what? I could focus on all the crazy, or I could focus on what is within my control. And that's how I show up as me. And when I show up as me and I love all these pieces of me, and they come together, and I get to have a party with all the crazy sides of Sandy, I love it. It lights me up. It's fun. Like, I was just coaching a young entrepreneur right before this call, and it's so fun to share that this entrepreneurial journey, the edupreneurial journey that a lot of you are on, it's a game. It's fun. We get to understand how to amplify value in the world and how to leverage it, and how to get return on investment, and how to play with numbers, and how to and it's the same thing you guys do in the classroom. It's like, ooh, how can I unlock the brain and the inner genius in this kid to help them achieve and learn this and this and this? It's a game. And when we get to that place where we just flow, right? And we're playful about it, and we just get to have fun despite what the news media or anyone else is trying to let us focus on. We get to focus on us. And I am super grateful for all of you and for this amazing community. We are doing a 30-minute version, so I know it goes by super fast. And yeah, Tammy, I saw you were like, oh no, I'm gonna miss the last half. The 30-minute version is because at the end of a long day, I know a lot of you are just needing kind of a bite-size nugget of really kicking off your week with intention. Hopefully this has served all of you. I would love for you guys to invite other people into this community. Like I said, my goal is 1 million in this conscious educator community globally. Invite your friends to join in and play this beautiful game of life with us, where we get to do it from a level of consciousness and acceptance and authenticity. And we are going to be shifting the name of Magnificent Mondays to help everyone kind of know more of what it's about. So it's about, we're going to change the name, and I'm pretty close to wanting to unveil it. Should we just share, Melissa? Should we just share? So each of you as educators, even in your own communities, you make an impact, right? So this is about impact educators. This group is about educators making an impact globally. So we are changing the name of Magnificent Mondays to Global Impact Educators, because that's who we are. We are global impact educators, and we are in this together. So starting next week, we will have the new name, Global Impact Educators. It's going to be the same Zoom link to jump on. This is about all of us really owning and amplifying the impact we were born to make. So I wish you all a beautiful rest of your week, and we can't wait for you to invite others to this community. I am so excited about everything you guys are doing. I know you're all growing through so much right now. You're doing it. Don't give up. Show up as the authentic version of you, and it will be returned to you tenfold, I promise. I appreciate all of you, and we will see you next Monday as Global Impact Educators. See y'all soon. Bye, everyone.